Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stage 4 of the Winter Solstice Championship. I'm your host, Jeff Thorne, for today. And along with me in the studio is former professional triathlete, avid cyclist from Sweden, Annie Turien. Annie?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to see this fourth stage of the Winter Solstice Championship.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good one today. It's going to be a quite interesting race today, and something where I think you can really help out because it's going to be more of a time trial. So to start off the teams from Las Colombias, we have Dorancy, we have Sora, Jaira. Jaira has been amazing so far in this series, and as well we have Rosalina Barrigan. And then for Team Strong Girls, we also have Faye Faber. She's been also having an awesome few stages so far. Fiona Schroeder, Lisa Bromell, and Mandana Decan. And for Spartan Obstacles, Catherine Fuhr, Lores Norale, Carupe, Maria, and Andrea Arzate. And for Soul Cycle today, we have Sandra Molina Valencia. On the individual list, it's going to be Kimberly Miller and Sofia Estrada today. So having a look at this course, as you can see, Annie, there's no segments today. Usually we have up to 7 segments, but today it's basically all one segment from start to finish, 35K, pure time trial, and no drafting. This is going to be quite interesting, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And for someone who maybe is strong at going alone, this is going to be maybe their day. And elevation is 250, 240. So, I mean, that's basically nothing either. So, this is going to be a really hammer down, A to B stage.
Yeah, for sure. And something where, yeah, as we've seen in the previous stages, segments and everything else, teamwork really can come in hand, but not today. Since it's no drafting, it's just going to be an all-out sprint to the end. So I'm pretty excited to see how this is going to go.
Yeah, for sure. And now with they had a rest day yesterday, and the girls are for sure super excited, and we're at the start line here, and yeah, I think we're gonna see people going like from the start, really get their rhythm in, so to speak.
Absolutely. We're about a minute 30 away from the start, and we'll let the women just kind of get warmed up. And we'll be back for the start of the race. So now we're just under 30 seconds out. You can start to see some of the watts come up. Everybody's just kind of getting up into that, just getting warmed up, really, as I kind of already said. But how do you think it's going to go? Do you think there's going to be a mass sprint from the start, or do you think we're going to see kind of a good pack kind of roll off the line and kind of stick with each other?
35K for women is a little bit longer maybe than they are used to, but now they are off, and what I think we're going to see is people actually dividing this into sections. They're going to try to go for it for the first maybe 10 minutes and then maybe cool off a little bit to see like where are the other people. I mean, as soon as there's prize money involved, which is super fun for everybody, especially for ladies, like indoors, that's big. there will be some tactical play in this, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. And it's kind of going, as you said, everybody's just going to kind of go hard and then maybe kind of settle into their pace. Just see who's around them really at this point. But they're not pushing crazy watts right now. I mean, they're only in the 180s. Somebody, oh, here we go. The top two girls now are up into the 300s. So they're really pushing and maybe just trying to distance themselves a little bit.
Yeah, what we can really see is the wattage per kilos, and that is what's going to be interesting, especially now when it is a time trial. And the higher wattage per kilo is where we can see where it's going to be fast, especially where there's like no elevation. The weight versus the watt will play in here, and yeah, we're gonna see some really high wattage, but it is key to see what the wattage per kilo is, because that's kind of where the speed is.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right there. So far, leading off the front, though, it is Faye Faber and Kimberly Miller with Fiona. Everybody's still basically in one pack. I mean, these girls are really trying to distance themselves right off the bat, but everybody's just kind of answering that attack, if you can call it that. Some notable names, of course, Kimberly Miller up there, and then Jaira. Expect to see her towards the end. She has been at the top of this race for the last three segments, or last three stages, excuse me, as well as Melina Valencia. I mean, we should probably be seeing her up there as well. But now we're only 1.2 Ks into an over 35-kilometer race, so it's way too early, I think, to have any bold predictions at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we see Milena Valencia here on the screen, and you can see that she's pushing 3.4 watts per kilos, and that is a little bit less, or yeah, it will be a difference when you can see the girls in front pushing over 4. But once again, this is 35K, and I think it's smart to play it. Maybe not safe because it's not that long, but you should for sure um, not go all out in the beginning, because then 35K is extremely long.
Yeah, it'll like catch up with you, won't it? It'll
Yeah,
just
it will.
come up and bite you real quick.
Yeah.
But Melina Valencia had a really interesting stage yesterday, or excuse me, not yesterday. On stage 3, she had a really interesting segment where she actually came from behind, took the overall segment win. Nobody really saw her go for a super hard, strong attack. But that was one of the, I think it was a 1 kilometer segment. I could be mistaken. But she did a really smart thing where she came out really hard, sat with the pack, recovered with the pack, and then put on another full attack to claim that segment victory. So today, I would kind of expect her. She's maybe going to do the same tactic, just push enough watts overall, watts per kilo, just to stay with everybody.
Yeah.
And then maybe just go ahead and launch an attack later on. But it's going to be a really interesting race today.
Yeah, what you can see when you're watching Kimberly versus Milena is that Milena's RPM, like her uh, cadence, so to speak, is way lower. And that is actually, that kind of gives you the indication that she is a really good cyclist, that she knows that she can go down and really catch her breath and then go for it again. But once again, you're going to see cadence between 75 and 100s, I would say. And the wattage, there will be easily over 250 as a normalized power, but I don't think we're going to see any of the girls going over 300. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, you mean like over 300 for a sustained
Yeah, for
amount of
the
time. Yeah,
35K.
for sure. Of course, we'll see spikes in that when they do launch attacks and everything. These girls, watching them the last 3 days has been really impressive. These are some of the top racers that I've seen so far in the esports community. So it's anybody's race at this point, still only just approaching 3 kilometers. Everybody's looking to be pretty chill. But as you said, that low cadence number, you can always tell someone's pushing a low cadence. For some people can recover pushing a really big gear at low cadence, but the caveat to that is you're still pushing a really big gear, right?
Yeah.
So you're still expelling energy, but your legs are kind of spinning down. You're not really overexerting yourself. But yeah, it's interesting to see all the different riding styles. So just about 5 minutes and 30 seconds in, it looks like Jaira's getting her way back up to the front there with Kimberly and Faye Faber. So I wonder if they're just going to be trying to push the pace. I mean, those three girls there, it looks like they have 4+ seconds on the girls behind them. So maybe see a different camera angle of Jaira here, and we can see how far back those ladies are.
Yeah, and I mean, she has a very special situation today that she is in the leader jersey, which means that she is going to be very tactical about things today. I mean, there is still a few more days left, and overall, this is going to be the big thing: is that you want to take the overall classification and those big prize money. But it's also important when you are in the leader here that you don't let someone like Faye get way too many minutes on you. So she will sit there and probably really make sure that she is in close contact. But if she has the eager to win today, I don't really know. I think as someone who is in the leader jersey, I think you're going for that overall. And if she would win today, it would just be a bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think she's really just going to play a smart race today. If I was her, that's what I would do, and I think you would as well. Just stay with the front group in order to secure a good position, like good sprint position, to where if you're going to have to battle out at the line, you're there and you're in the right position. So I wouldn't expect to see any crazy attacks from her or almost anybody at this stage.
No, and you can see that they're starting to stand up a little bit. Is that they don't want to create much of a gap. They want to keep it. They want to keep and seeing the girl in front of them. But I think when they are starting to stand up, you can also see that they're maybe getting a little tired. They're pushing pretty high wattage every time they're standing up, and that actually burns. That burns the legs a little bit. So just going in for 5K here soon, and you're already starting to stand up to catch on. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle, I think. It's important when it's a time trial to keep your cool.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, just approaching the 5K mark. I think we'll go ahead and let the ladies settle into their pace. We'll take a little quick break and just watch some of the action, and we'll be back with you shortly. So now we're back. Welcome back, everybody. And for those of you just joining us, this is the Winter Solstice Championship, Women's Stage 4. Alongside me is Annie Torian, who is going to be basically our female TT expert for the day. Rejoining the group here at 7K, we still have Faye Faber out front and Shira in second, with Kimberly Miller in third. It looks like all the ladies are still pretty close together. I mean, they can all see each other on screen, so that's pretty good, I think. I mean, that's where they want to be, right?
Yeah, for sure, and it helps them staying motivated and really putting the pace in. And of course, they don't want to let anybody go, so they will probably stay right here and keep an eye out. And now, when it's going to be a time trial, it doesn't really matter who is in front.
Yeah, right. It may just play more of a mental game
Yeah.
to everybody else, right? Like if you're smart, you just sit in the pack and you do your own pace, put yourself in a good position for the finish line here. The course today, like we said, pretty much flat, but they are about 40 meters right now. So there are some false flats, and they can be feeling those things. As you can see on the course now, we started off, looks like a little slight dip down, and then we start to go up a little bit. Looks flat overall, but that is an elevation section here. And as you can see, they do rise up to 240 meters. So they are going to feel a little bit of that.
Yeah, and then I mean, if you're going all out and they're now reaching 12 and a half minutes, everything feels. You can feel everything. Everything is. It's a little bit tougher, even if it's just a little, just a little hill or not even a hill. You can feel that in your legs. So they're for sure feeling it right now, and they're still around 4, 4 watts per kilo, and doing that for 12 and a half, 13 minutes. They feel it for sure. So it's going to be a quite long day for the girls, but this is what's fun with cycling, is that you get both. You can be in a group, but you can also be a specialist at the time trials, and the time trialing really shows who maybe isn't the best girl with the technique and being in the group, and so to speak, but really getting a time trial specialist on courses like this, they can be really fast.
Yeah, and it's a good point that you mentioned there. Like, this is a stage race, so there should be stages to, of course, benefit the climbers, benefit the flats, the all-arounders, and then the time trialers. So today is very much just as you said. This is a full-on time trial race, hoping to benefit to those athletes that are participating in this Winter Solstice Championship.
For sure, and even on we could see it on the Olympics, is that when they're out on the road, for example, it's not the same girls who are good at the time trial versus the road, or like in the group. So just because you're a great time trial cyclist doesn't mean that you're a great peloton rider. So it's very different, and that's what's fun with segments like this, is that everybody gets their time to shine, their day to shine, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody gets their chance, if you will. So just looking at Faye Faber here on screen, she's doing about 3.8 to 4 watts per kilo with, that's pretty good. I think she's averaging that pretty well.
Yeah, she is. And now, when you have done this for almost 15 minutes, you're starting to find your pace. Of course, they will have some ups and downs, and there's still about 25K to go. But this is where you're kind of starting to set, like, okay, this pace I can go at. If you have gone too fast or too hard in the beginning, the pace that you were thinking may not be as high. But I think they look pretty stable, all girls in the top 5. And I mean, Faye, if she keeps around 3.5 to 4 watts per kilos, she can do a really, really good stage here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at the numbers again, heart rate's in the 160s, cadence 75. So she's pushing a really heavy gear right now. And she's put 21 seconds between herself and Kimberly Miller and Lisa Bromell back there in second and third. So if she can for sure keep this pace up, I mean, of course, we're only at the 10K mark here soon. It's 10Ks out of 35. It's kind of a big ask from the body, but so far, looking at her numbers, her heart rate isn't fluctuating crazy. Her cadence isn't going all over the board. Like, She looks really comfortable and really happy at this point.
Yeah, she does. But the thing that Faye does not have that Lisa, Kimberly, Nora Lee, and Jarell has is that they have each other right now. They are in a group of four, keeping the distance as legal as they possibly can, for sure. But what is happening is that they do have each other. They can see each other, and that always motivates you. So Faye is a little bit of a loner up top. So we'll see. Maybe this group can actually push each other to get up. And you can see Irel here from Colombia that she's pushing almost 5 watts per kilo every time she stands up. That just shows that there's some powers in those legs.
Yeah, that there is. And like I said before, the last 3 stages, she has been putting out some amazing efforts, claiming a lot of segment wins and one or two stage wins as well. Or she's been up there battling it out for the overall stage win. So we definitely have to keep our eyes on her. But as it stands now, I mean, they are quite a ways back, but it goes to your point. They have each other. They have each other to see who's going, who's not, whoever's setting the pace. Can they sit in, and can they actually close that gap back to Faye Faber comfortably without burning themselves out?
Yeah, and the question is, when do they want to close that gap? What is the plan? If they do have a plan, I think the way that I would play it is that I would actually go for the last 10K. That's just like everybody can survive 10K, even if you feel like you're burning out when it's 9K to go. Like somehow you can make it work. But now we just reached 11K, which means that mm, it might be a little hard to put the a really hard push in now. I think they're gonna play it somewhat safe for a little bit and just try to eat in that 20-second gap that they have slowly. Because if they try to push here, it might be a little too early.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on there. It might be a little, yeah, too much too soon type of deal. But we're just gonna have to kind of wait it out and see what they do. But I'm kind of with you. I think this pack of girls here are just gonna kind of hang out and do their thing, and then the last 10Ks, I think we'll start to see some major attacks.
Yeah. And all I hope is that these girls has been spending a lot of time on the platform to really know how it feels in the body after you have been going for 25, 30K on a time trial. Because a lot of people like to ride with others, but you do get help then. And here you're all alone, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely right. So we're at the 11.6K mark. And again, we'll just take a short little break here. We'll get some water. Hopefully, the girls are staying hydrated as well. And we'll rejoin them here in a few kilometers, let them get settled in and keep putting on an awesome race. Be back soon. So we're back, and it's just about 14 Ks into today's race. Left off just to have a quick break to get some water, and kind of brings up a good point, Annie. Hydration, nutrition. What do you think the setup is for today compared to the previous stages where we saw a lot of climbing, a lot of intervals, whereas today's like kind of one large interval? What do you think the nutrition setup is like today for them?
Well, every time when you do less than an hour or around an hour, it's always quite tricky. Like, do I eat or do I not eat? And normally, when someone asks me, I said that you should always be prepared to eat. And when I say eat, it's normally for these girls, maybe a gel, maybe half a banana, but even that could be like over the top. So what I think we see around the world right now is girls that has a water bottle and probably an extra bottle with some energy in it, even if it's just a Coca-Cola or some kind of sports drink. But I think we have some sugar in the water bottles, and yeah, maybe someone has like a rocket, so to speak, with a gel or a liquid. But what's really important when you do these kinds of races is what where do you sit and do it? Do you have a fan or do you not have a fan? That alone can give you or take the wind away from you because getting overheated, it's quite easy, and that takes way less than an hour. So keeping your cool, so to speak, and really making sure that you are comfortable, even though that 35K and time trial isn't very comfortable. You should have the goal to keep you cool and make sure that you're in a setting that is is good for doing a good performance over the 35K.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely an interesting topic. I mean, everybody has different nutrition plans, and I'm very curious to know what some of their personal nutrition plans are for these races because they're pretty short in distance. I mean, it's 35 Ks. Of course, it doesn't seem short when you're giving it everything you've got. Those 1 kilometer segments tend to add up, and they can feel like 5 kilometer segments. But for these really punchy esport racing events, yeah, I'm sure they do have a standard water bottle, like you said, and then some with some energy in it, whatever their favorite powder mix is. Um, Something I want to talk about is the setup. You mentioned fans and not being overheated. I wonder how often that is actually overlooked in the esports cycling world. Like, how many out there are trading without fans and without a proper setup, even like a side table? Wondering how much that actually benefits these riders, like having a side table where you can put your phone, or you can put your tablet or your nutrition, so on and so forth. How much does that matter, you think, your overall training setup?
Well, I think we've come a long way since the beginning of the esport days, so to speak. I think a lot of people can watch and get inspiration from other athletes on Instagram, YouTube, you name it. But yeah, I think a lot of people don't really understand how brutally warm it can be to be, even though you don't have heating in your basement, the the air stand still there, which makes it really warm after a while because you are the heating source. You warm up the room. So it is important to yeah have a side table with extra water. And with when I say extra water, it's more water than you bring when you bike outside. Because when we bike outside, we get the wind, which cools you off, and you also get the natural rest, the natural breaks, being stop signs, being a downhill where you don't have to pedal. Here, if you stop pedaling, you stop, so you can't really do that here.
No, exactly. And it's, yeah, in the real world, you do have those rest breaks, and you don't really pick up on them until you do esports events like this, where it is nonstop pedaling. Just as if you're running on the treadmill. If you stop running on the treadmill, you just fall off. If
Exactly.
you stop pedaling here, you fall off the pack. So
Mm.
it's whatever the setup is that these ladies have, it's obviously working very well for them. They obviously have it figured out. Off the front, it's still Faye Faber, and she's that gap's growing between that second pack that's kind of chasing her. It's now up to 28. It's sometimes hitting the 30-second mark. Looking back at her stats, though, still 75 cadence, pushing good gear. Heart rate, it's getting up there. Heart rate's starting to climb a little bit. But as is her watch, so that's pretty expected. But she's looking very comfortable off the front. She's not losing any time. She's actually gaining a couple seconds here and there. She's always a little plus and minus. Going back and looking at our second and third place females, we have Lois Norale, followed right behind by Jaira. And again, they're looking good. Jaira's pumping out pretty high watts right now. She keeps creeping up into the 300 range and kind of backing down. So I wonder if she's doing like little surges, if you will. So like spin it up to 300 plus and then kind of rest and then 300 and rest. Is that something that time trial athletes typically do?
I would say that no, that's typically what time trial athletes do not do. So maybe this is a sign that Drea is not a time trial athlete, which is totally fine because once again, this is a many stage race. So maybe she's just trying to keep her spot and making sure that she doesn't lose too much time. So I would say that that's a sign that time trial maybe isn't her favorite day of this series. But once again, I think she's doing a really good job. And just as we've seen the previous days, is that she is strong on those short little hills, so to speak, where she has to push a lot of powers for a short amount of time. And if she would catch up to Faye and there will be a sprint, then I think we know who is going to be a really um, fast player in the end, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. And she's still doing an amazing job, even though she's not a time trial athlete. All the girls up here are doing awesome. And I think the word of today's stage is consistency. You have to be consistent. You have to be fast. You have to be comfortable. And most of all, consistent on your watts, on your heart rate, and everything, and just kind of get through it. We're almost at the halfway mark. We're at 15 and a half Ks. The field really hasn't been mixing it up that bit, but yeah, looking a little bit further back in the field after Jaira, Lisa Bromell and Kimberly Miller, those two have been putting on a great showing for Germany. I mean, they have been doing, yeah, their names are always up there, getting ready to be pulled from the hat for a stage win or segment win. So it's going to be interesting race, I think, when it comes down to, yeah, the last 20 Ks. I think we can agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go ahead and take another quick little break here and let the women do their thing, and we will be back shortly. So we're back, everybody. We're approaching 20 kilometers, soon into the last 15 Ks of this race, where I think it's really going to start to get it pretty exciting. Jira's still in second place. She's still 21 seconds back, but I don't think, and if she really wanted to, she can close that gap pretty fast. But I think, my personal opinion, she's just kind of waiting for the right time to strike. What I'm curious about, we've kind of spoke a little bit about nutrition and the setups that they may have at home for competing in this Winter Solstice Championship. But what about like fit positions? With this being a TT race, and as most avid cyclists know, but maybe not everybody knows, when you're on a TT bike, you have a completely different seating position. So do you think they have changed any of their, like maybe their saddle position, forward or back, forward and aft? Are they maybe riding a little bit more forward on the saddle as if they were on a TT bike today? Like, what do you, if this was you, what would you basically do if you're on a road bike or a smart bike?
Well, since I was quite fortunate, I actually had two different bikes. I did have my TT bike and I also had a road bike. So if it was me back in the day, so to speak, I would actually change the bike. Maybe not all of these girls have that opportunity. So, or maybe they're even on like an e-bike, a sports bike. And so I don't know. Yeah, I would change a little bit, especially because there is ways to be positioned on a bike to get more like consistent power. So I would change, but if they have, I don't know. Like especially since it's a series, a few more stages than maybe they're used to. And they also want to keep um, like stress out of the wrong muscles or other muscles that they're not used to. They want to keep that stress away from the body because they have to be fresh for tomorrow as well. So, yeah, maybe a few changes, but I also think they're trying to work with what they've had and work with what they are going to be set up for tomorrow. And now we see that Faye is standing up a little bit, and that to me is a sign that she is on a road bike as well. Of course, you can stand up on a TT, but it's not as comfortable. You can, but I don't know. I never really found my position standing up on a TT.
Yeah, it's pretty awkward standing up, unless you're climbing, of course. Like in the real world, you're in the base bar, but otherwise, yeah, you stay pretty seated. Getting back to the actual race action here, Gyra's closing in on that gap now. It was once 21 seconds. At just a short while ago, before I started speaking, it was 15. So she is actually going to start to reel in Faye a little bit, I think. And I think that is why we start to see Faye getting out of the saddle. She can see all the same information we can, and she's going to be looking at the times, looking at who's chasing her up right now. And as we can see, Gyra is on a major attack, pushing over 330 watts at this point. Heart rate's up there. Cadence, she is going for it. She's going to close this gap now as we come into the final few kilometers of this race. And kind of as we said from the beginning, Annie, this is where we're going to start to see some moves being made. Behind Gyra is Lowe's. She's still just sitting happy and sitting pretty. She's not doing any kind of major attacks right now. But I think at the front of the race is where we're going to see, yeah, those two top girls come down to the line. Hopefully, Faye has played a really good tactic and built such a gap to where Gyra's going to lose a lot of energy catching her. And if that's the case, then this could easily be Faye's overall stage win.
Yeah, it can. But what we've seen with Faye is that she's been extremely consistent and Jaya has not. So I think even though that she's really pushing hard now and trying to catch up, I do think it will be it will be the last two, maybe 3K that will set this whole stage. I think that Faye is doing really well, also controlling her heart rate. She has never had any kind of spikes, which to me seems that she got this under control. I'm not saying that Jaya does not, but feels like Faye has done this before and knows that the last 10 7K is where it really starts to hurt, and that's when you want to play it pretty cool until that point.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, as you can see, Jira's still pushing. She keeps doing these little surges, just trying to bring that gap down closer and closer to catch Faye. And it's going to be a really exciting stage 4, I think, today. I mean, this is these two ladies. I think this is pretty much going to be our race. But without forgetting about the rest of the pack, I mean, there's still a lot of people racing. Um, it's interesting now to see today all the different flags we have. The last few stages, it's been Colombia, 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 like all in the top. So we have Faye from the UK, we have Colombia, we have Germany, we have Switzerland. I mean, this is a really great showing of all the different countries today, and everybody's just kind of mixed up a little bit more than I thought they would be. But it's nice to have Lisa and Kimberly, the two Germans, riding together, and looking back at their watts, they're hanging out at this point. And I think maybe they will try for the later attacks as well.
Yeah, I mean, what we can see with the flags and the countries that you just mentioned is they're really strong cycling nations. Colombia is maybe the strongest. Of course, we have Spain that is strong, and Italy, but Colombia's produced some really good riders, and we see that today again. Then, and the UK. I mean, is there a sport that they can't do?
That's a really good question. They have good athletes all across the board. They really represent well. But going back to that, the Colombians here, that whole pack of Colombians right there, they're all doing so well, and they're all jersey holders as well. Melina Valencia, she's been doing amazing this whole series. No, she's not up at the top of the pack today, but regardless of the fact, she's had an amazing performance along with Carupe and Sofia Estrada. They've been amazing. And of course, sorry not to miss out on Dorancy. They've all the women there from Colombia have made a really good showing for their country. So now we're approaching the 24K mark. I really thought we would start to see that gap come down significantly between Faye and Jira. And oh, my timing has just updated. It has. If you look at that, it is now only 7 seconds between Jira and Faye Faber. So now you can see from Jira's view, she has her in her sights.
She does.
Not good for Faye.
Or is it? Because the thing is here is that Jira has put in some serious effort to get to this point, while Faye has just, of course, put effort in, but she hasn't done anything crazy. And that might be in her favor. Jira is coming up to Faye now being pretty beat, I would say. And there, once again, there's no drafting. It's not like Faye is going to help Dryra by any means. Dryra still has to keep pushing. And I'm starting to wonder, when you do these spikes with 400 watts, do you really have it in you to do the last 10K?
It's a good point. And it's what I kind of mentioned earlier, is maybe it's a really good tactic by Faye early on in the race to establish such a commanding lead, to where she could wear out the people behind her trying to catch her. So this really may play in Faye's favor. That was a really hard one to say because I almost said favor, but this may play into Faye's favor. But going off the past performances of Jira so far in the series, is she has been able to take these segment wins, sprint out these segment wins, and then be up in the right position towards the end of the race and push even harder when I thought her tank was completely depleted. But she's amazed a lot of people. So today it might be another one of those scenarios where she's going to bridge this gap up to Faye, and she'll probably ride with Faye for a while. If I was a betting man, she'll catch Faye, hang out with Faye for a little bit, recover, and then together they'll make a dash for the end of the stage win.
Yeah, but the recover in this sense is still, you have to push behind to get or be around Faye. You still have to push around 250, 260 watts. Is that really recover? That is the question. But there is something that we are seeing more and more now, is that there's actually esports specialists. They are amazing on the trainer. And Jaira might be one of those girls that knows exactly how to handle herself indoors on the trainer. And even though we think it's like, this is too hard, or she's not going to be able to do it, These girls and guys as well that have done thousands of hours on their trainer, they just continue to amaze us.
Absolutely. And I think just judging from the past performances, I think these really are esports specialists. I mean, of
Yeah.
course, they ride in the real world and they have, excuse me, they do cycle outside as much as they can, but competing online is a completely different story. You can be a decent road cyclist in the real world and then kill it on the trainer and in the esporting events, or the other way around. You can be awesome on the trainer, and then when you go out in the real world, you kind of don't know the different dynamics of the racing and such. But I think we are really watching some real true specialists at this point. Of course, we don't know their full history, but this is getting really exciting now. Now you can see how close Jaira is to Faye. And now we're going to really start to see here in the next few Ks what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And if Jaira decides to keep this going and really starts to maybe even gets seconds before, like ahead of Faye, then I think Faye's still going to keep her pace and see what happens when we're going with maybe 1 to 2 K left. But yeah, we can see that she sees her, and it's not even a second anymore. So yeah, this is going to be tough for Faye, I think, to keep this lead.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just about 7 Ks, 7 Ks to go, and we'll really start to see what happens. So I think we'll kind of just take a break. Just look at their watts; they're already pumping it up. Jaya was just pushing over 400. I think we'll just take a break, and we'll come back within the last few kilometers. So, welcome back, everybody. We're now approaching the last 5 kilometers of the time trial stage of the Women's Winter Solstice Championship. And no surprise, really. We saw Jaira bridge that gap up to Faye. And I think we're going to see an attack here probably in the next, 2 kilometers. Or do you think Jaira is going to be crazy and go in the next kilometer? How do you feel watching these two elite athletes?
Yeah, it's. I have to say that I'm very surprised by how Dreyer actually is recovering and still pushing pretty decent watts. But I think both of these girls are very aware of each other, and even though Faye is keeping her consistency, and I mean that has been her mantra this whole 30 somewhat K so far. So I know that Faye knows that Drya is back there, but I also think that Faye knows it's 5K is a little bit too long to go too crazy. So I think Drya will here soon, if not even right now. Yeah, she's already up in the 300s, almost 400s, and she's trying to breach that gap a little bit. And I think that we will see her going past her quite soon.
I mean, it's only a 2 second gap at this point, which is nothing. If you really want to close it, she can close it at any time. But it's a matter of that 2 seconds. Then she's there with Faye, but then she needs to put seconds on as well. So she's really going to have to put out a maximum effort if she wants to kind of try to drop Faye and put a massive gap on her as well. But so far, she's just staying with her. She's keeping that gap really close and tidy, not letting Faye out of her sights at all. So the last 5K, I mean, they've had 5K sprint segments over the past 3 stages. So we know all these ladies can sprint to 5K pretty well. But I think it's going to be, I think the next kilometer, 32, maybe Faye, if they're even listening to us, will prove us wrong. But I think here shortly we'll start to see a massive attack from both of these ladies.
Yeah, I think so too. But once again, we can see how consistent they have been. And even if we start looking at the third and the fourth girl in this race, is that they're extremely consistent. I want to say that they have almost kept the same wattage from meter one. And that in the long haul is going to be very good for the stages coming in tomorrow and on Sunday. I mean, these girls are doing the whole series, and of course, wants to do a really good overall position. So, if you do know that right now that it's 4K to go and you're in a little bit behind, just keeping your pace and not losing spots is a really good way to go. But it's special for Faye, who has been leading this whole time. Of course, she wants to walk away with the win today.
Yeah, of course. We always kind of dream as racers of any category, whether it's motorsport racing, cycling, swimming, leading like that perfect race wire to wire is always it's always a nice feeling to have. Like when you like, I have won that from go. Like it's always a really cool feeling. So hope Faye has played a good tactic and she has a lot in the tank to battle out with Jaira so she can get that wire to wire win. But it's still 32 Ks now. We're inside the last 3 kilometers.
And it's really starting to hurt for them now.
Yeah, for sure.
You can see the wattage just going down and up and down and up. And I mean, even their pulse. So you can look at and Jaira, her pulse is now over 170, easily over 170. And in the beginning of the race, we were looking at 160 and 165. So big difference right now.
Yeah, for sure. But if you look at both their statistics, Faye's and Jaira's, I mean, Jaira's putting out a lot more watts currently, but their heart rate and their cadence have kind of been bouncing around the same. So they're really just kind of playing with each other almost in a sense.
Yeah. And what's nice for girls that are very into making sure that their wattage and their pulse is on the right track is that you can kind of let go of the K per hour thing here. It's really about the math. And you know your weight and you know how much watts it takes to be one of the top girls here today. And that I think can also be inspiring and motivating for the girls that are now third, fourth, and fifth.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So now yeah, we're approaching the 33K mark, and we might start to see an attack here from Drive, pushing over 500 watts there.
Yeah.
Just getting up onto the pedals, getting on top of them. And of course, you'll see watt spikes like that. As soon as you start to push and build a gap, you'll have a huge spike. But it's going to be a matter of now she's pushing like into the 400s, high 300s. So
Yeah.
this is her go time.
Yeah, we see that every time that she stands up, something happens in the pedals, and I mean that is such a great strength to have. I just wonder, like, can she stand up for the past 2K, for the last 2K here now, and really get it going? Because even though she's doing these spikes, she's not really passing Faye. And to win, she has to be first of the finish line. And right now, it's not looking like she will be.
Yeah, it's still anybody's race at this point, and it's like you said, those spikes. She's still wasting a little bit of energy, but I think she's just kind of waking the system up, just getting ready for everything to go.
And with almost just 1K to go, we can also see that the girls in the little bit lower down on the field has really put a gap on each other. We can see that there is almost a minute now between number 3 and number 5. So a lot had happened the last few Ks. And yeah, now we're going to see the Faye and the Gyro again with yeah, they're coming in hot here.
Yeah, they really are. So now we're within that 1K window, and now we can start to see a massive attack from Gyra. And now it looks like Faye might be trying to answer it. Might be a little too late, but there goes Gyra. Hopefully she can hold on to this pace, stay out front, but maybe not.
She gave it a good college try, so to speak, but she really needed to put some time away from Faye. And right now it looks like Faye is still pushing her watts, even going up a little bit. And I don't know if this is going to be such an easy win for Jaira as we might have thought before we went into today's stage.
Yeah, same here. I mean, Faye is definitely answering back and just taking back over the lead, letting her know, like, yeah, I'm still here. Nothing's going on with me. I'm not going to let you drop me that fast. But now we're within the last 500 meters. I mean, surely, I don't think they're going to try to cross the finish line tied, but got to see an attack here pretty soon.
Yeah, and now we see Faye actually standing up, and I think that we are going to see the last attack from both of the girls here coming in. I mean, these last, and you can see the finish line now. Ooh, they're pushing
coming
hard
into the finish. Come on, with under 200 meters to go. Gyra, massive attack, over 600 watts there at one point, 488. She has dropped Faye, put a second on her. Look at that. Within the last couple hundred meters, she has launched the attack, going on to claim another stage victory, stage 4, and Faye coming up in second. But still, major congratulations to Gyra, but what an amazing race from Faye as well.
Yeah, I'm super impressed by Faye on how consistent that girl has been. But once again, Gyra, she was strong in the end. And I mean, as soon as you can push those kind of watts, yeah, we see here that it is a little bit high wattage per kilo for Gyra. And when it comes to esport racing, that's key.
Yeah, that matters. That matters a lot. So congratulations to Gyra and from the Las Columbias team. And of course, Faye out of the UK for Strong Girls. You guys put on an awesome race.
And number 3 is coming in hot from the Netherlands.
Is that the Netherlands flag? I can't tell. The screen's too small for me. But congratulations, Lowe's. Not too far back. So that's our top 3 moving into tomorrow's stage 5.
Yeah.
And then we have Lisa Bromell coming in for Germany. Another good effort. But as we said, you can obviously see from these time charts now, it's something that you'd mentioned early on in the broadcast, Annie, is these stage events, you can really see who is good at TT, who is not good at TT. So now I think it's pretty well shown here that
all the girls are great at TT, but some girls are specialists.
Yeah, and these top 2 are specialists. If you look at the timesheet, They've put almost, 50 seconds ish
Mm.
between third and fourth place. So they were the true specialists of today.
Yeah, that's a big gap for 35K for sure. But once again, if you're in it for the overall win or the overall tops, then you have to be ready for tomorrow as well. And I'm not saying that anybody played it safe here today, but for sure, getting off the bike today and having good energy will help you moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe that was some of their tactics as well. Like with Lisa Bromell and Catherine, maybe that's their tactic as well. So they can maybe secure some segment and maybe a stage win overall tomorrow. Maybe today's stage didn't really mean that much to them. Maybe their goals are set elsewhere. With today not having any segments in it, it's just get through a day, and then tomorrow they can start to win some segments and get some money in their pocket, because you have to complete each stage in order to continue to the next. So, and that's what we're seeing here with everybody doing now. So it looks like my screen is a little blocked here. Yeah, so our top 8 is in. And just looking at this, it looks like, yeah, Strong Girls. They have four Strong Girls members in the top 10 so far. That's really good for their team overall standing. And again, for the Las Colombias with Jaira, that's a really good, another awesome result for her team as well. So go ahead and take a quick break and let the rest of the ladies roll through. But before we do that, we'll go ahead and talk about stage 5, which is tomorrow. And this looks like a little bit of a hilly one. Of course, the distance is still 35 kilometers, and then the total elevation is going to be 429 meters. So it's going to be a pretty fast start rolling in. All the way, the first 5 stages are going to be pretty fast. Bunch of 1 kilometer segments once again, and we're going to end the day with 2 5-kilometer segments towards the end. And the end's going to have a really nice punchy climb. I think we're going to see there'll be some action at the top of that climb for sure.
Yeah, and what's going to be important for the girls is that when you're reaching that 7th segment finish, that is when you need to have good energy to really go for it in the last. And we saw today that Faye is very strong on the end. So maybe there, if we should bet on anybody, then maybe it's there. But once again, I think Faye, just showing her TT skills today, she's hungry for more.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. And same with Jaira. It's going to be anybody's race tomorrow. Today, like I said, was a get through it. But yeah, so this is where we'll leave you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us for stage 4 of the Winter Solstice Championship. And stay tuned in a few hours' time, because we'll be doing the men's race coming up. It's going to be another very eventful stage, I believe. I want to thank my guest today, Annie Torian. Thank you again so much for joining us. And if you'd like to sign off with anything, you're very welcome to.
No, I just want to say thank you for having me, and really inspiring to see these girls fight it out. And yeah, I kind of feel like I want to get on the trainer.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you very much, Annie. And thank you guys. And we'll see you soon for the men's race. Bye-bye.